That's right, Daniela. It is time for the headliner brought to you by Miller Lite. Our guest is former Red Wing Kirk Maltby, legendary grindliner, and currently a professional scout for the Red Wings. Let's bring Kirk in. Hey, Kirk, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, hi Eric. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to begin this interview asking you when you became a Detroit Red Wing, it was based on one particular play you had as an Edmonton Oiler. If you when did you find out that Scotty wanted you based on that one play? Because I don't want to give it away. I want you to tell the story.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, I'm just going on based on what I was told, and I can't give names or anything like that. But yeah, when I was in Edmonton, we played Detroit, and obviously, in Edmonton, we were kind of the today Detroit Red Wing. We were rebuilding. We were a young team, not winning a lot of games. And Detroit was the complete opposite. They were winning games, vying for Stanley Cups, trying to, get over that hump. But they had came into Edmonton and played us, and I don't know what part of the game, and just worked out where I went to lay a hit on, and I don't know if he didn't see me coming or not, but Paul Coffey, I was able to kind of get the best of him, and for lack of a better word, steamrolled Paul Coffey. And my first thought was, where's Proby? Where's Mac? Where's Marty Lapointe? Like, I got to be ready. Someone's coming. But fortunately, nothing had happened or occurred at that time. And then fast forward to the trade deadline. I find out I get traded to Detroit for Dan McGillis, who was a defenseman in college at the time. A few months after the trade, I was told that the reason that I was traded for was because Scotty loved that I steamrolled Paul Coffey, and no disrespect to Paul Coffey on my end on that at all. I'm just telling you what I was told. So I guess at the end of the day, if that teaches anybody anything, myself included, finish your checks on whoever it is.
Well, you know what I love about that story is because you're a really great story, not only because of the way you were traded to Detroit, but you had a serious eye injury that in practice as an Oiler that really almost ended your career. And I know you were always criticized as a player for wearing a face shield, but you had to
Yeah.
wear that shield because of the eye injury.
Yeah, no, and back in those days, and not that I needed it publicized or needed everybody to know or whatever, but it actually helped with the chirping game too, just because it kind of gets you everyone involved. You start yelling and chirping back at each other. But yeah, it was a practice in Edmonton, and we were doing a one-on-one battle drill, and Louis DeBrusk had the puck and kind of spun and followed through with a shot, and his stick came up and got me in the eye because I never used to wear a visor, and it ripped my retina and cut the top of my eyeball, and I had to spend a few days in the hospital with some surgery. And long story short, my vision came back to about fortunately like 95, 98%. And but I was told, like, wear an eye shield, wear a face guard, and I was like, well, I don't know. So I did, and then I tried on a few different occasions to take it off, but because of the injury, I actually do still to this day have a little sensitivity to light, and the shield kind of really helped with some of the glare off the ice sometimes with the lights. And then I just, at the end of the day, especially after wearing it and getting used to it, I can't even tell you how many times that shield saved me from either getting hit in the eyes again, breaking my nose, just something along those lines. But I still had a couple of occurrences where sticks came up underneath and cut me around my eyebrows and stuff like that. So, but yeah, the way I played, as wearing a shield doesn't go over well with a lot of people, especially the opponents. But at the end of the day, with two eyes, and I feel like I escaped a very serious injury ending my career. So I made the choice to keep it on for the rest of my career.
Instant chemistry with the grind line with I guess Coaster came up with the name, Draper loved it, and the grind line was born. You said that you had instant chemistry, but what I loved about your line is that you were tenacious on the forecheck. I mean, you were just hell bent for leather, as the old expression is. You'd go into the corners, dig that puck out. Draper obviously good on the forecheck as well, but great on faceoffs. And then either Joey or Darren, picked up, you guys were chirping. Let's talk about that aspect of the game, because I can't tell you how many opposing locker rooms I went into over the years where the opposition would complain about you and Draper chirping
Yeah.
away, but they never could do anything because Darren or Joe was right there to make sure that everybody didn't take liberties with you guys. How essential was chirping to the success of the grind line?
Well, yeah, it was a big part. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was obviously a huge part of it. To irritate and get under the skin of other teams. Best players. Because even though we were technically the fourth line or whatever you want to call it, Scotty used us as matchups at times against first and second line lines of the other team, and not necessarily from start to finish, but like to give our top line a break and mix the matchup. He would throw us out there and let them have a matchup against the fourth line. So the problem with the more skilled guys, I guess you could say, the high-end guys, is they're a lot harder to hit. They're a lot harder to track down and hit and physically piss them off. So that's where the chirping would come into play, things like that. So, the one thing, I'd say, yeah, having Joey and Mac there definitely allowed us to play and do what we wanted to do. But there was a few games where either they were hurt or they got ejected early. So we had to make sure we were able to defend ourselves. And I think we did. I think in general, even with those guys in line, we were a team that didn't have a lot of, I guess at that time considered toughness, too many European, but we were team tough, definitely. And I believe no matter, it's not about going toe to toe at center ice, but everyone stuck up for each other. And obviously Chris and I, when we were out there and those guys maybe weren't in the lineup, we had to make sure. But there was a game in St. Louis where it was a bit of a line brawl with, after Mac had been kicked out of the game and Joey was coaching that time. He had just finished. So it was Marty, I think, got kicked out. Shanny was kicked out. Maybe Marty wasn't here anymore, but and sure as heck, we find ourselves, me and Drapes, out there in a bit of a line brawl. But at the end of the day, no one really got hurt, and it was all part of the game. And listen, I expect it. You're going to piss enough people off. You got to be ready for it. And it doesn't. You don't have to be tough, like super tough to fight. You just got to be able to sit there and defend yourself and to help defend your teammates.
Well, it obviously paid off in 4 Stanley Cup rings. So you definitely were doing the right thing. I want to move ahead to, you're now a professional scout for the Red Wings. I know that there's 5 or 6 teams that you specifically go and watch. Can you tell us what your
Yep.
job's like right now?
Yeah. Well, right now it's nothing. Unfortunately, it's nothing. And
Yeah.
the ice rinks have opened up a little bit. So I have been on the ice with my son and a group of kids, just kind of put them through the paces, getting the rust off and whatnot. So that's been a lot of fun. But as far as my job, scouting, yeah, I have 6 teams and I have the NHL team and then I get their American League affiliate. So you double the teams up basically. So I have 12 teams that I'm responsible for. And basically just go watch and take notes and kind of get a feel for all the players. I mean, there's the easy ones of the guys that have been in the league for, especially the ones that have been in the league for 5 or more years. The hard part is the young guys coming out of either the minors or junior or college or even over from Europe. So you don't get it takes a little bit to get a feel on them. And really at the end of the day, my job is to, when Stevie calls me on a player that maybe on one of my teams that maybe we're interested in trading for him, or maybe he's going to be a free agent in the summertime and maybe we're interested in signing him. And I more or less give him my opinion on a player that we talk about. And then obviously it's up to Stevie to decide if it's worth it. Obviously it's up to the player that's in question, especially if it's a free agent, if he wants to sign with us. But for me, I love it because it's a way to stay in the game. I'm around the team. I do get to go to quite a few games down at LCA, so I get to go down there, and it's what I know, it's what I love, and right now, unfortunately, where we are as an organization, not doing real well, and kind of got the screws put to us again with this lottery, but I want to be a part and help be a part of rebuilding this team and getting us back to where we need to be. And hopefully once we get there, we stay there for another, 25 years like we just had. So, but yeah, so it's at the end of the day, it's just watching hockey, making notes, and the travel can be a bit tedious at times, a little tough, but you manage that. And, it is nice. So you get the air miles and you get the hotel points. So I use them in the summertime.
Yeah, it certainly would be. When you look at the Red Wings, obviously they're in a rebuild. I know you go see your professional scout, but how long, Kirk? I mean, Steve has preached patience. I would imagine you kind of agree with him that the Red Wings are still kind of finding what the next generation of Red Wing is going to be. I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for Steve, I guess, he's only had to go 1 year now through this this rebuild where I've been around for the last couple. But Um, yeah, patience is a huge part of it. And again, it is, like you said, I don't really want to get into it either, but really we got shafted in this lottery big time, and I know we're still going to get a good player, but nonetheless, it just doesn't seem fair the way they, especially this year, the way they did it. But it is what it is, and Chris Draper, who runs the amateur side of the scouting department and all that, they're gonna draft the best possible player for our organization. But it's tough because when you draft these guys, in the second round, the third round, and if they are going to make it, they probably are 4 to 5 years away from being, a pro or being in the NHL. And then even then, they're rookies in the NHL. You need another year or two to really find your way through that. So it's a process, and I know Stevie works diligently, watching players, watching games at the pro level, the amateur level, and it only takes a couple of real, Pavel Datsyuk picks, Henrik Zetterberg picks, Vladimir Konstantinov. I mean, those guys were not first-round picks. And if you look at their career, they would easily, after the fact, been a first-round pick if you would have known what they were going to do once they got here. But so that's what we got to try and hope for. But at the same time, what we do have, we have some good young players, and they got to keep developing and growing. And this is a big draft for us. We don't have time, I guess, to sit and whine about what happened at the lottery. We got to take the best possible pick, and then I think we have 2 seconds and 2/3 possibly, or something like that. So maybe it's 3 seconds, but nonetheless, we just have to draft the best possible players to give us the best chance of turning this around and getting there. And obviously having Steve there, he's a very, obviously Ken was too, but Steve's a very very smart hockey guy. He's not shy in making big moves if he feels that's what is needed to be done. And that's what I expect will happen as things kind of progress to us getting back to being a relevant playoff team.
Okay, this is definitely the final question. I promise. I promise. They're flipping out in the booth. I don't know how long we've gone, but I will say this. I know the greatest moment professionally is winning the Stanley Cups. I understand that. Yet, on a personal level, I can't remember specifically the playoff game. It was Anaheim, St. Louis, or what. But when the crowd is cheering your name, Maltby, I think you even got a sports columnist even wrote a column about it. I mean, is that validation for you? Is that something in those quiet moments where you look back and revel? Because let's be honest, they're not screaming Yzerman or Fedorov or Shanahan or anybody. They're screaming Maltby.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, and I've had some friends send me, clips of it and this and that, but yeah, no, I mean, it was against St. Louis. I know it was on the penalty kill, and the one that it was 3 shots that I blocked, and the first one was an Al McGinnis shot, and you know how hard Al McGinnis, and fortunately that one only kind of grazed or got me in a spot where there was a lot of padding. But again, I knew my role on this team and what I had to do to be in the lineup on a regular basis, along with Chris and Joey and Mac and guys like that. And we went out and did it. And that's, we knew we weren't going to be the guys scoring every night because everyone can't. And Stevie and Brendan and Sergey and Nick, they did that. But when we did our job well, again, going back to just blue collar, hardworking, sacrifice your body. That's what this state and this city's all about, and the fans love it. Do they love a coast-to-coast goal by Sergei Fedorov at 100 miles an hour? Absolutely. But I think they also appreciate the things that don't go on the stat sheets, and that you don't get recognized at the awards banquet or this or that, which is fine by me. But because really, at the end of the day, as long as my team, my management, my fan base appreciate what I'm doing, that's all I need, really, or all I needed. And I was just doing my job out there. That's the way I look at it. That's what I'm out there for. That was my role, and I tried to do it at the best that I could. And yeah, I do remember that game, and it I don't know about validation, but it is nice to, like everything, you look back on it in time and it's like, oh, that was such great times and memories back then. And yeah, as much as it was lifting the Stanley Cup over my head, that was just a really cool moment in my own personal career.
Kirk Maltby, it's always great to catch up with you. You're one of my favorites. I say that virtually with every Red Wing guest, especially you guys. But I really enjoy you taking time out of your day. Best of luck. Look forward to actually seeing you in person. And maybe we'll tip a few Miller Lights here very very soon. Thanks, Kirk. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks, Art. Thanks for having me, and to you and everyone, stay safe, and hopefully we're back in the LCA for some real live hockey again sooner than later, and have a great rest of your summer.
You too. Thanks, Kirk. I really appreciate it. There you have it, Daniela. That is the headliner brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer with great taste and only 96 calories, available for delivery. Daniela, I always say this whenever I'm talking to a Red Wing. He's one of my favorites, but trust me, Kirk Maltby is one of my favorites.